Hello and welcome to the Monarchs preview show. Myself, Graham Munsey and Dave Harraway looking ahead to this week's ties for the Walk the Fork Monarchs as we look ahead to KO Cup action and a visit to Armadale off the Newcastle Diamonds. Dave, we're getting back into the swing of things now. We had our first Monarchs matches. I was going to say match, but matches of the season last weekend, home and away against Redcar. I think we've said it a couple of times now, certainly on the Friday Focus. Man, it was good to be back.
Yeah, fantastic. And what a start we had with two absolutely brilliant meetings. Yep. Scores on a knife edge all the way through. Both teams probably coming away thinking they should have won. And 245 all draws. So honours even in the end, and probably everybody happy with their start to the season.
I think so. But of course, that all means nothing this weekend, and it all needs to be done again. The Newcastle Diamonds in knockout cup action. At home, 7:30 tapes up at Armadale on Friday, and then the trip down the A1 to Brough Park on Sunday, which, if memory serves, a 4 o'clock tapes up. It's a double header. After the Monarchs match, it's the Gems against the Devils. I think it's a 4 o'clock tapes up for the Monarchs first. And we have a packed show to look ahead to that. We'll hear from Monarchs number 1 and captain Sam Masters, Newcastle's returnee, James Wright, and of course, as always, Mike Hunter's blast from the past. So Dave, a lot to look into this week, but if we start, Newcastle, probably not one of the favoured teams, but when you look at their team on paper, there's a lot of Armadale experience in there, a lot of experience, full stop. A lot of Armadale experience in there, you know, Matthew Weathers, Max Clegg. We'll speak to James Wright, a guy that's ridden very well at Armadale in the past, and as we record this, a question mark unknown, and if Ben Barker will take his place. He seems very keen to, go by all reports, but crushed fingers or a broken hand at the Newcastle press and practice. So while they've been written off by some, not a team that the Monarchs can take lightly at Armadale, Dave.
No, never. Newcastle's always a tight match. It doesn't matter what. It's, you know, they seem to come and score well at Armadale. Same respect, we tend to go well down there as well. So all set fair for a couple of great matches, and we saw how well Max Clegg was when he came up with the Gems early in the season, working both the inside and the outside. So he's potentially stepped up a level. So it'll be interesting to see how he goes against the big boys. And as you say, with James Wright coming back in for the first time in 6 years, big chance for him to show the reason why he's back, and big night for us.
Yep, and of course, slightly different setup when it's the KO Cup, Dave. You know, there's a slight change in some of the rules. There's a slight change in maybe an outlook. You know, I guess in a week match, it's always just a case of, obviously every rider wants to score as many points as can, but get the team at 49, and then you know the away team's going home with nothing. Whereas in the Cup, you've always got that second leg to contend with. So I think the onus from the start with the Monarchs will be to pile up as many points as they can. For the Diamonds, it will be to keep that lead as tight as they can. I mean, I spoke to Max Clegg during the week for an article that will appear in the programme on Friday night, and he was saying that you know, in a Cup match, you almost focus a little bit more maybe on being a bit more solid. You know, as an away team in the first leg, it's about not coming last. If you can go into every race, you know, if you don't pick up the last, you're not going to get beat by much. So it'll be a tight affair, but the Monarchs, you know, I guess from their point of view, they'll want to get as much of the job done as possible on Friday. If they can put, you know, a big score on, then it takes the pressure off for that away leg.
Definitely. I mean, as you say, all 15 heats, especially in the first leg, will count. You know, and if the match is getting away from you, sometimes in the league meeting, maybe teams that can shut off, but Cup matches, you keep going, you never know what's going to happen in that second leg. And the same, as you say, for us, it's an opportunity for the guys, their second meeting at home, to kick on and learn from what they did last week, and hopefully pile up a big lead to get us through to the next round.
Yeah, and of course, Dave, it's the romance of the Cup, isn't it? I mean, I'm maybe speaking to the wrong person when I mention that there. If there's any St Johnstone fans watching, they'll agree with that statement maybe a wee bit more than you will, Dave. But, you know, the riders want to get through to the next round. It's about chasing silverware. And as we'll hear from Sam Masters now, you know, just another wee chance for an extra couple of meetings and an extra wee pay packet. But we'll hear Sam's version on that. This is Sam speaking to me after that Redcar match last Sunday now. So Sam, two tough matches over the weekend, but spoils shared overall. You must be pretty happy with that, I guess.
Well, after, you know, them drawing at home against us, it sort of makes you think, well, they're a good team. It's going to be hard when we go to their track, but we pulled a draw off, and definitely can't complain about that.
And then next weekend it's home and away against Newcastle, obviously cup matches rather than league, so there's always that carrot to get through and get a couple extra matches in the calendar.
Well, that's it. We want to win them as well. The more meetings, the better, especially after not racing much for the last 18 months. So nice to get through that, and a few more meetings later on. But yeah, we're all happy with today. Focus on the next ones and keep enjoying it.
You mentioned there, and look at the Friday. A few things have been said about Newcastle maybe not being the strongest team in the week, but they're not going to care about that when they come up to the tapes. Those guys still need to be beaten.
Well, that's it. Everyone's there to be beaten, and I'm sure they're going to be trying. They're all just the same as us, so they're all hard. Everyone's got to be treated the same, and for sure we've got to be on our game every time.
And obviously Friday, great to see fans back in Armadale and for the Monarchs to get back on track. Just how much does it mean to the guys to get back out there in front of the crowd?
It's so different racing when in front of your home fans, and you could see how happy they all were just to be there and their support for us. So hopefully that stays up that way, and they keep supporting us all the way to the end. And no one takes it for granted anymore, and they're there every week. So yeah, it's unbelievable, and it's so nice to be back. That wait was just way too long.
And 2 matches in there for the Monarchs. Kind of what's the feeling in the camp? I guess that an away draw, something that's a real just boost the confidence. And I can already see the spirit in the camp. You know, there's 3 or 4 guys helping each other with bikes and stuff. It looks like it's going to be a good year. It's a fun team to be part of.
Yeah, we all seem to get on quite good. There's a few new faces, so once they start relaxing a bit, I think we'll have a lot of fun. That's for sure.
So Dave, Sam, very much looking forward to his weekend's racing, and I guess one of the great things we can touch on as well as fans back. You know, we've seen, I think it was nigh on 500 fans at the Armadale on Friday. I believe it was as much as 800 at Redcar on Sunday. And believe it or not, it does make a big difference to the riders. They can feel the atmosphere. And I know I mentioned it a few times on the stream commentary on Friday night, but just how great it was to hear that roar when there was a race to the line, or when a close race when the referee's result was announced, and hear those fans back in, and just the atmosphere was building up. I didn't see anyone that wasn't happy to be back last weekend.
Yeah, and it was straight from Heat 1, you know. I mean,
yeah.
Heat 1, we've got 2 passes in the last lap, 1 on the line, and then, as you say, from some angles, you can't tell the result yourself. So that announcement produces another little roar from the crowd, which is always great to hear. Always great to see people back in, and it was great even just to see some faces we've not seen for a year and a half.
Yeah.
It's nice to see that. And then again, as you say, at Redcar, good atmosphere down there, a beautiful sunny afternoon, and hopefully we get the same this weekend. And
yeah, you mentioned it there, Dave. Obviously, two good matches with crowds back, and it'll be good to see that again on Friday. As again we mentioned, Ben Barker, we're maybe unsure of his status as we record this. The same for the Monarchs 1 to 7. We're still waiting on news from Joe Waller as to if he'll be able to take his place. I believe that he was due at the hospital on Tuesday afternoon to have his wrist looked at. An injury from before, Dave. It bothered him back in 2019. He had hoped that the year off or the 18 months off would heal it, but unfortunately it doesn't appear to be the case. But the last I'd heard was that if he gets the say-so from the hospital that riding isn't going to make it any worse, then he'll just strap it up and ride on. And you know, that's the usual Speedway riders mentality, isn't it? So, you know, do keep an eye on the Monarchs webpage and social media. And maybe by the time that this goes out, the lineups are known, but potentially a change in both teams. If that is the change in Newcastle team, it will be at number 1, and there is guest options there, or I guess potentially rider replacement. If it is rider replacement, extra rides down the field, and one man that will be relishing that is returning to the sport, James Wright. Dave, you know, a classy performer in his day. Towards the end of his last spell, you know, whether the injuries he was carrying caused it, whether he maybe just fell out of love with the sport a little bit, it wasn't the true James Wright, but somebody that, if he gets back to anywhere near that previous form, looks an absolute steal on that 4-point average.
Definitely, I mean, a former Scottish Open winner.
Yeah,
he was a great rider in his time, and as you say, just didn't quite go his way and gave up for a few years, but he sounds really enthusiastic and up for it again. So yeah, looking forward to seeing what he's capable of, and so is he by the sound of things.
Yep, as you mentioned, enthusiastic and up for it is the 2 words I would use, or 2 phrases I would use to describe it. We caught up with James a little bit earlier on. We hear from him now, and then we'll have a little bonus blast from the past as we look back to James's Scottish Open final win. It was the 2009 Scottish Open, albeit it was held in March 2010 due to a rain-off the year before. So, James, a welcome return to British Speedway for yourself, and welcome back. First weekend ahead for the Diamonds. Obviously, I don't think they've had their troubles to seek over, even up to including press and practice when Ben crashed and there was a change of team manager. So everyone at the club must just be looking forward to getting all that behind them and getting back on track this weekend.
Yeah, definitely. It's been a bit manic, with obviously the past year and a half with the COVID situation. It's obviously still going on at the moment. It would just be nice to get to Friday and then, start the season. And especially against, a very good team in Edinburgh, it's going to be a very tough test. They've got a good home track advantage. And I think so is Newcastle. So it should be a very interesting tie on both legs.
Yeah, I mean, it must have been a frustrating time for you, James, after deciding to come out of retirement and come back to it. I mean, how much preparation have you actually managed to do ahead of the season starting?
Yeah, everything was pretty much, ready last season. I mean, I had a bit of a rush job before last season, but it has kind of given me a little bit more time to sort equipment out and, purchase an engine and so. Obviously, it's given me a little bit more time in the preparation on my fitness, which, I've, had a good solid, year and a half of training, so which is still continuing throughout the season. So obviously, I've got to keep my fitness up with, all the younger riders because I'm not really classed as a young rider anymore.
Yeah, and we've seen you obviously on the bike so far. You've had a few matches in the Premiership. How are you feeling back on the bike? Is it the old adage of it's like riding a bike, you never forget, or is there a few muscles in there that you couldn't remember using before and your body told you, wait a minute, it's been a while?
Yeah, I think mostly I was feeling where you haven't used the muscles before was probably like your first few practice meetings, but now everything seems to be normal with that sort of situation. But yeah, I'm looking forward to it. It's definitely a lot different to riding on the grass track. You have to have a completely different style to both speedway and grass track. So, but yeah, I'm definitely on the pace. I think it's just the sharpness of getting more meetings ahead. I think it's been a bit up and down so far with meetings getting rained off with the bad weather we had. So hopefully come start of, I think Thursday's my next meeting at Sheffield. So hopefully from then we can have a consistent run of meetings and I can get into some sort of rhythm.
Yeah, we had a great weekend last weekend with the two red car matches. So hopefully we'll get the same again this time with the Monarchs and the Diamonds going head to head in the cup. And what are your memories of Armadale, James, in terms of that? Is that a track you fancy?
I've always seemed to ride really well at Armadale. It's definitely a racer's track. You don't always have to make the start there. There's a hell of a lot of lines for a little track. So if you can manage to ride a certain line, you can make a few passes. So that's why I've always enjoyed Armadale because I've never been the best of starters. So, I just try and use my track craft as much as possible and try and get some points. But, I've always had good memories there. I think I won the Scottish Open one season. So, yeah, I can definitely get round there.
Yep, and this weekend, obviously, is the Cup. Now, as a rider, I know there's a lot of riders that don't even look at the score as a match progresses. Does that change slightly when it's the Cup? I guess maybe more in the second leg. Are you a little bit more aware of what's required? Or do you still just view your job as go out there and try and score as many points individually and the team and the aggregate score will kind of look after itself?
Yeah, I think every rider in the 1 to 7 knows what they've got to do and what their job is. That's down to the team manager to sort that out and let the riders know that's pretty much his job. I think every rider just concentrate on every single heat they do and do the best they can, to get the best score for the team. So, yeah, riders, mostly just concentrate on what they've got to do, but it's down to the team manager to obviously let everybody know what's going on.
And from this season's perspective, do you have any ambitions for yourself and for the team looking ahead?
We always have ambitions. Everyone wants to do well, and I just want to improve as the season goes on. Really, I'm coming on very low averages in both leagues, so the main thing to me is, as long as I up my average and putting in some good scores, and I'll take any meetings, or if there is any British semi-finals or anything like that. I'd love to compete in them and just do as much as I can this season, really.
Well, James, it's absolutely fantastic to see you back on the show. We wish you all the best for the season ahead, and hopefully a good weekend ahead for yourself as well. Thank you very much for joining us here, and all the best for the season ahead, James. Thank you.
Yeah, that's no problem. I'll see everyone Friday and everyone on Sunday.
2009 Restage Scottish Open. The winner of this is the winner of the meeting, Ryan Fisher in red, Andrew Tully in blue, Andre Compton white, and James Wright in yellow. Fisher and Wright to the first corner, and it's Wright, I think, going ahead. Tully's come down. Wright leads the way. Compton spun round now. So there's only 2 men left going. And James Wright could get his revenge over Ryan Fisher for the Ashfield Classic last year, which Fisher controversially won from Wright. Gate 4 was the place to be, I think. And James Wright's a few lengths clear of Ryan Fisher now. Andre Compton's got himself going again. And it's going to be Wright. Quite comfortably in the final, really. Final didn't really live up to hopes as a race, but James Wright will not be worried about that. He's won the Scottish Open.
So, Dave, I repeated that kind of performance on Friday, and that will certainly go a long way to allowing the Diamonds to keep that score close. I guess this is normally the stage. It's something you like, or I like to put you on the spot and do, Dave. It's money on the table time. Prediction for Friday night.
Well, James could be a factor down there at reserve, but I'd like to think the way that Sam and Richie went last week. Sam again Monday night, for Wolves, absolutely fantastic. That we can go and stretch and get a decent lead to take down to Brough Park, and I'm hoping that will also be opportunity for Willie and Kai to crack on and get some points, and hopefully Joe if he's fit too. So an opportunity for the guys, but it's there for us to grab. So a big win predicted by Dave Harley, folks. Write that down, and then you can run about it. He wanted me to say earlier that it may have cut off slightly on the Friday focus, but Dave had predicted we would win at Redcar on Sunday, so a draw was as close as anyone would have predicted. So Dave's been pretty hot form so far on his prediction, so we'll see if that continues. Of course, if you want to be in attendance, tickets were still available when we started recording. I don't know if they will be now, but tickets were still available, although more than half had sold as of the last update I seen on Tuesday lunchtime. So get yourself on the Monarchs webpage for your tickets. If for any reason you're unable to attend or those tickets are gone, as all matches will be at Armadale this year, the stream is available. Again, edinburghmonarchs.co.uk. Click on EMTV and purchase that stream and watch it in the house. We say it every week, Dave, but Friday night is Speedway night and Speedway's back. Yeah, and the numbers on Friday night expected to be the same as last week, so we wouldn't be surprised if it sells out again. So make sure you're on that stream, and hopefully with some of the announcements this week, we might get bigger crowds next week, but that's to be confirmed. We're always working as much as we can for Friday night. As you say, Friday night, Speedway night. Can't wait for Friday. Definitely. And it wouldn't be a preview show, Dave, without Mike Hunter's blast from the past. I believe you delved into the archive yourself to dig out a heat you wanted. So what do we have to enjoy this week? Yeah, it's one of my favourite moments from Armadale, actually, over the last 20 years is actually a playoff match against Newcastle from 2009, where we actually went to golden heats, and I think that's the way they decided KO Cup these days as well. So potentially that could happen again on Sunday. But after a tense match, we ended up all square with Newcastle, and it went into golden heat number 1 with Matthew Weathers and Ryan Fisher for the Monarchs. Mark Lemon was in green and Rennie back in yellow for the Diamonds. Pressure on, winner takes all, and let's see how Matthew did. in Monarchs colours on that day.
It's a golden heat. If either team gets an advantage here, they go through. It's Mark Lemon, Matthew Weathers, Rennie Bach, and Ryan Fisher. Same riders as Heat 15. And I think Bach's made the gate this time. He's gone ahead. This time Lemon's a mile behind. And Fisher's fallen off. That's the end of it then, unless Weathers passes, which perhaps he has. No, he hasn't. Bach's back in front again. Weathers again going for that inside line. And it's worked. He's through this time. Look at Bach trying. There's no advantage here then. 4 new riders come out, but Bach's in with a shout here. Weathers slithers into the last corner, and he's hung on for a 3-all. Tremendous effort by Matthew Weathers. So we go on to a second golden heat.
Yeah, I remember that one, Dave. The pressure was certainly on there, but you know what? When the chips are down, that tends to be when Matty pops out and does his best, and the chips will definitely be down for him this Friday, and I wouldn't be surprised to see him take the checker.
It was the fish down that night because the fish swallowed put all the pressure on him, but he did well, and of course went on to win the second golden heat and the playoffs that season. So great race from Matthew, and we know that's what he's capable of. So he'll be hoping to bring that on Friday night.
Yep, and as we mentioned a little bit earlier on, if you want to see if there's a repeat of that from Matthew this Friday, do get your tickets, or if you can't make it along or the tickets are no longer available, pick up that stream. Check all the details for both of those on edinburghmonarchs.co.uk. Dave, that probably just about wraps up for this week. A packed show there. We've had Sam Masters, we've had James Wright, we've had 2 different blasts from the past. We've reminded you numerous times, tickets available, streams available. I think as the old saying goes, that ticks all the boxes, and we can now just get ourselves ready for some action on Friday night.
Yep, can't wait for Friday night, 7:30 Speedway time. Let's be there.
So thanks once again for joining us, and until the Friday focus this weekend, again, we look forward to seeing all of those in attendance on Friday, but for now, it's goodbye.